Hello and welcome or welcome back to Empire Hots and Nots. Today we're going to be discussing the Hots and Nots of E1 2026. So if you enjoy having some Empire content on in the background while you're doing things, or just enjoy listening to random women talk about LARP, I guess this is the video for you. So as usual, we're going to be talking about the Hots and Nots of kit, camping, and just some game experience that I have had over the past event. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Alright, starting with the kit hots. The kit stuff is not very long this time round. I think she needs a revamp. I mentioned that in the last one. I think she very much needs a kit revamp, but we've got a couple of new pieces to show you. So in our hots, we have this lovely little moon pin, which I got from one of the vendors at Empire. I don't know if you can actually see it properly. Yep, I'm really glad that worked or didn't work. So yeah, this was at one of the vendors at Empire specifically. I don't think this is a bespoke pin. I have seen this pin... I think I've seen this design around a couple of times. I don't think it is bespoke. I think a couple of vendors had something similar, if not the same pin. But yeah, it worked really, really well for a moon ritual, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The other thing that I'll put in my hots, and the last thing, I told you it was short, I put in my hots, is a particular necklace. This was gifted to me by my lovely friend Becca, and she thrifted it from a charity shop, I think. Somewhere in the Midlands, back in my hometown. This is just so sick, because like pieces like this you can't usually just buy, you end up accidentally finding, right? Charity shops and like thrifting is such a game changer when it comes to getting kit stuff. So I'm so lucky that she found that, and not only found it, but then let me have it. It's so amazing and I love it so much. Thank you, Becca. I love you. As for kit knots, honestly, my hairpiece is really getting on my nerves at the moment. I have this big clip-on ponytail like hairpiece, and it does its job, but it just gets so scruffy so quickly. And I think I might have to retire her. Well, I'm going to try something different next event, let's say. So we'll see how that goes, and if that goes well, then I think I might be retiring my ponytail for the foreseeable future, because she needs washing, she needs restyling, detangling, and it's quite heavy to wear. And I know I recommended it in one of my previous Hots and Nots, and I do stand by hair pieces. I think they are great. I just think that I have outlived this particular one. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens with Celine's hair next event in a few weeks. Alright, on to the camping hots. Okay, we've got a fair bit to talk about because we changed campsite, baby. No more is Dadford campsite for Empire, but Steeplechase LRP Centre. I almost forgot the name of it. If you want an in-depth look at Steeplechase LRP Centre, then I would recommend checking out my previous video on my return to Empire, because that kind of goes into it in more detail, and I don't really want to repeat everything that I said in the last video, so instead I'll just do like a couple of highlights, I think, for my personal camping experience. But yeah, go check that out if you want an in-depth review of the actual new campsite. I'm going to start off representing my guys, Rent Bell Tents. This time we rented the Emperor size bell tent, and I believe it's the biggest size that they do. We ended up sharing it between 4 people, which was more than enough space, but we also were able to have not a storefront, but like an in-character RP section, which was used quite a lot over the weekend. I ended up doing some skein readings in there. I know Erin, who plays Kolnir, also did some, I think, signs and portents in there, a ritual of some kind in there. So yeah, having that space to do that was so good. We did the furniture, what is it called again? Not furniture, furnished, that's it. We did the furnished version, so we opted for 2 single camp beds. I can't speak today. Camp beds. 2 single camp beds. 2 single camp beds and 1 double camp bed with a mattress. So I took one of the singles, Erin and her partner Ben took the double, and then Becca took the third? Yes, third bed. Oh my god, this is why I don't film at 9 AM. So far, I think I've tried every single size of tent that Rent Bell Tents do. Emperor is definitely a great shout. We're not going to do the Emperor next time just because we've got a different setup with different members of our hall joining this time in Wintermark. But I can definitely recommend the Emperor Bell tent. I think you can do it fully furnished. And next event, I think they're doing a like a themed tent, which I'm really excited to look at. Fingers crossed for the next Hots and Knots, I'll be able to show you footage of that, because they mentioned that they may be setting up one like as a showcase at Empire in E2. I hope so, because I'd love to see what that looks like. And if you are looking to try rent bell tents for the first time, I do have a referral code, so you can use code RianMan if you decide to try rent bell tents for the first time. It's only for first time customers, I'm sorry. And you can email them after your purchase and let them know that I sent you. Let's talk about the location of Wintermark, which is my nation, because I think it's arguably the best spot. I really loved where we were. I think not only just in our camp planning, so shout out Wintermark camp planner, James. It's James, isn't it? I'm having a moment now where I'm like, have I just shouted out the wrong person? Sick job, as always. Absolutely loved where we were pitched and absolutely loved where Wintermark was placed, because we are basically now next to all the amenities. So the shower blocks, toilets, food, God, traders, literally across the road. And it was so nice. I felt like I was being really naughty at one point because I got up quite late and I went, oh, I'm just going to grab breakfast and come back and like eat it outside of our tent, and it was time in and I was trying really hard to like be discreet about me with like an iced matcha like outside. But no, loved it. It was great. I wonder if there's going to be any changes for E2. Watch this space. But yeah, I think where we were placed and where Wintermark is placed, it was really, really good and I loved it. Right. It was very cold, and we'll mention that in a minute, but because it was cold, I have to shout out the MVP of our camping setup, which was the jet boil and the hot water bottles. Friday and Saturday night, it was almost unbearably cold, and we had 2 jet boils between our camp. Honestly, lifesavers. We were able to boil water for drinks before we went to bed. We were able to boil water for people to get hot water bottles. Yeah, I don't know how cold it's going to be next event, but I think this is a piece of kit that I would almost say is essential because of how helpful it is and how compact they are. So yeah, if you're looking to camp, especially in April, I think now, so if you're planning April next year, look into getting a jet boil because it was very, very helpful on those really cold nights. And if you're looking ahead into June, July and September, if there are any evenings which drop below 10 degrees Celsius, even then I would recommend looking into a jet boil, because man, when it hits sort of like 0 to 5 degrees, so cold. So yeah, I would recommend a jet boil, absolutely. Now on to the camping knots. I guess we'll start with the cold. We just mentioned it. It was bloody freezing. I think the coldest I have ever been at Empire, especially camping. It was almost unbearable. I had thermals and long pajamas and then slipper socks and then my coat, like my big winter puffered coat on top of that. And then I stuffed all of myself with that into my big all-season sleeping bag that was thick, and then a beanie, and then blankets, 2 blankets, and then a hot water bottle. And I was still cold. I was still cold. How mad is that? I think it's taught everybody a lot of things about camping in the cold. I genuinely hope that if anybody really, really struggled, they were able to get warmth or get some help, because I know it was mentioned to me actually in one of my previous videos. Somebody commented about going to the, I've forgotten what it's called now. At Empire, there is like a services tent where basically throughout most of the time, if not all of the time, like at any hour, someone will be there. So if you're really struggling, they can support you. So you're not going to like first aid or medical, but you're going to people who are helping out, making sure that people have water, people are warm, people aren't like just dying. So if you're ever in a situation where you're really struggling, whether that's the cold or any sort of temperature, feel free to ask anybody, your neighbour, people passing by, because typically people will be very helpful anyway. But if you're in a pinch and it's like midnight and there's nobody else around you and you're by yourself especially, and don't freak out, go to the services, the people who do the services. I would recommend checking on the Empire, the PD website, because it typically has a map of where everything is. But I want to say it's like near God, but depends on where you are in the map. There might be things, don't quote me on that. Go check out the website, go find out where it is, just in case. All right, pollen. Oh my goodness. One of the things we spoke about in my last video with the new campsite is there was this influx of weeds that grew from the ground, but it created so much pollen. It was pollen everywhere. You could physically see it rising. On the Thursday when we were walking around, you could see it. It's kind of almost magical looking if it wasn't for the fact that people were just in so much uncomfort because of how much pollen there was and just how potent it was. If you are coming to E2 and E3 especially, make sure you bring your antihistamines, because everywhere kind of got hit with pollen, especially if you're kind of nearer the center of Anvil. That seemed to be where the worst of it was. I think places like Wintermark, Brass Coast, we were a little bit less on that side. We had normal grass in Wintermark, but once you reach the threshold of the shrubs that go into sort of the central bit where you kind of go into the marshes and Varushka and like the actual Anvil centre where all of the, you know, the Regio and everything is, that felt really bad. And I think that extended all the way up. So I don't know what it was like on the combat field. I didn't take to combat, but apparently that field wasn't great either. So bring your antihistamines for E2 and E3, because you never know how bad it's going to get in the summertime. All right, the last knot that I have for camping is a little bit of a story, and I alluded to it in my last video, and that was the taxi situation trying to get home. Yeah. So with the new campsite being so close to Cambridge and like the centre of Cambridge, we thought that it would be a lot easier to get cabs there and back from between the campsite, because the train stations are 10 minutes or less away from the campsite. It's very close. The main train stations, especially if you're going to Cambridge North, that is a sort of a bigger, more, it's less in the middle of nowhere kind of train station, right? We thought Sunday, we'll grab a cab back. We tried to book an Uber. Uber wouldn't accept. So we went, okay, we'll look at local cab companies. I can't remember the name of the cab company that we did take. I would say if you're looking at getting a cab, make sure you're researching which ones you use. We call the cab company, we say we want a people carrier because there's 3 of us, but we've got like big suitcases and a couple of like big bags as well. And they say, no, we don't have any like bigger vehicles. We can just do a 4-seater. We go, okay, we'll have to book 2. So we kind of waited for that. It was half an hour wait, so really not that bad. Waited half an hour. Erin gets a phone call. They're like, oh, where are you? She's giving them directions. He comes around the corner, he parks up. And we go, great, okay, right, who's getting in this one? We go back and forth and we're talking about who's getting in this one, which bags are getting in this one. And we said, right, I'll go in this one. And then we'll put in my big suitcase. And then we've got a load of little bags. So I'll chuck in a load of little bags with me in the back seat. First of all, this guy was really uncomfortable with the fact that we had suitcases and camping bags and stuff. And we've had somebody very picky before at Dadford, where even though they accepted a job to a campsite, they hosed our feet and our bags down before we were allowed to get in the car. And look, I get it. It's a campsite. It's dusty. It can be muddy. But I also think, well, if you're accepting a job at a campsite, like bring some bin liners. Or make us aware beforehand that we need to wipe things down. Anyway, so it was kind of like we're trying to be extra careful. Luckily the weather was lovely, so we didn't track any mud or anything in. This guy was getting really impatient, and I got in the back, and Ben and Erin were discussing, well, who's going to get in the front? And he was like, I've got to go. He starts driving the car with my door still open to drive away. And I'm shouting in the back of the cab like, whoa, 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 whoa. Ben and Erin are running next to the cab like, whoa, 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 whoa. This guy was just going to drive off with me in the back with the door open. I was like, what is going on? Anyway, Ben ended up getting in the car. We get in, close the door. Erin's just waiting for the next cab. We're praying that she's going to be fine. So about the new campsite, there is like a one-way system that you have to go to kind of go out and leave the campsite, especially on a Sunday when everybody is trying to leave, you know, congestion's normal, all that jazz. So the guy reverses out and goes towards a steward. By the way, the stewards who helped the traffic on Sunday, you're brilliant, you're lovely, you're wonderful, and I'm so sorry that our cab driver was so rude to you. We drive up near the first steward and they went, oh, hey, where are you heading to? And we said, oh, we're going to go to Cambridge North. And they were like, oh, okay, if you just reverse and then go up this way. And the guy was like, didn't even speak to them, just kind of did his own thing, eventually got on the right path. And then there was another steward, because there was a fork in the road. And once again, the steward came up and went, hi guys, where are you going? Do you know where you're heading? And we said, oh, we're going to Cambridge North. And they went, right, so you know this path here, just turn a right, and then the cab driver didn't even care, started driving. This poor steward was trying to walk next to the cab to try and finish their instructions, and the cab driver wasn't even looking at them. And this poor steward is there like, and then take a left, and then when you get a left, you're on the main road and you'll be fine from there. Then the cab driver is like doing his window up as Ben's going, thank you. Oh my god, it felt so awkward. It was so rude. Then we get on the main road, get out the campsite, which took like 10 minutes. It was totally fine. It was a really reasonable amount of time to get out of sort of like the congestion zone of the campsite. It's been far worse before. We get on the main road and I don't know how else to describe it to you other than this taxi driver couldn't drive. You know, like when you have parking sensors in a car and they beep when you're getting close to something, right? This guy had sensors in the car that would beep whenever you drove sort of across the middle line of the road, right? So if you weren't staying on the left-hand side of the road. And I didn't clock that was happening until I kept hearing beep, beep, beep. Like every 10 seconds, it was beep, beep, beep. And so I kind of look over at the dashboard and see his dashboard is like flashing because this guy is driving in the middle of the road and swerving like that. So every time it goes beep, he comes back, but then he starts swerving in the middle of the road again. And these are like 50 mile an hour country lanes for like some of it. Like I said, luckily it's less than 10 minutes to get there. But I was holding on, Ben's holding on. We're there in silence for most of it because we're like, I'm a bit worried about this guy. Get there, it's fine. It was just a shame that he was quite rude to the staff, so I apologise to the volunteers who were doing any of that. And yeah, it's just embarrassing, isn't it? We don't know the guy, but it still feels embarrassing when your cab driver is so rude to the people who are genuinely trying to help you in a lovely empire. So I can only apologise for that if any of you are watching, because it was just, yeah, really, really not on. Right, now it's time for the game hots. This is the part of the video where I do a little bit more story time related things, so this is probably going to be the longest part of the video. Relax, enjoy the random shenanigans of Celine, Moon's Chosen. We'll start there. I got a hero name. Oh my god, I've only been playing for 3 years. So in my nation of Wintermark, we have this sort of saying, this it's not a code, but it's a kind of it's a way that we live, which is a hero has a name, which basically means that if you do heroic deeds, you earn a hero name. And it can be for a lot of different things. You know, quite common, it will be how you conduct yourself on the battlefield, like as warriors, you'll get cool hero names like that. But for other things, you might, you might do something different that's virtuous. It's kind of classed as like under one of the 7 virtues. And so this event, I did something which one of my lovely friends and coven leader, Ulrich, ended up going up to a scop and telling them about the thing that I did, and the scop gave me a hero name, and that hero name is Moon's Chosen. So my full title now is Celine Moon's Chosen, which honestly is kind of sick. I was joking at the beginning of the event because I was like, I really want to get a hero name at some point, but I'm really I was joking about the fact that is it going to be Moon Mummy, right? Because like my character's really into the moon stuff. She was really into night magic. astronomancy, all the sort of night sky related stuff. You know, part of the reason why I named my character Celine when I first made her is because I like the sound of astronomancy stuff, and since then it is just kind of organically followed the path of moon related magic, and that wasn't intentional from the beginning. I thought Celine would be like a nice adjacent name to star related stuff, so it wasn't so star related, but it was still night sky related. And now I've ended up being very on the nose and having a very moon related name and hero name now because I do moon stuff. So that was really, really cool. Friday night I got my hero name, and yeah, we had a little chant, we had a little around the fire. Some of my hall were there as well. It was a hero has a name! Woo! So for me to explain how I got my hero name, we'll talk a little bit about the Regio first. Now, if you read the Winds of Fortune for E1, you might have seen that there were some interesting things happening at the Regio where previous shenanigans had caused it to go a little bit skew-whiff. Apparently, all the stars looked upon the Regio, and the Regio kind of went, whoa, this is a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of stars looking at me right now. There's a lot of magic happening. So we're going to do something a little bit crazy. And part of the gameplay effects of it being a little bit crazy was that you could cast a ritual with as many covens in your nation as you wanted to without any cost. Typically, if you want to collaborate with other covens in your nation, you have to have like either an item or a certain magical effect. Usually it's like the belt of stars, I believe it is, which the Archmage of Night usually carries, if I'm not mistaken. And that allows multiple covens to work together. That's not something that typically can happen. You have to really just stay to the confines of your coven and how much lore and magic that you have inside your coven to cast any ritual. Now, because it's a little bit crazy in E1, it gave us a cool opportunity to reform the Night Alliance in Wintermark. Previously, the Night Alliance came together to show a big force of night magic. There's a lot of night mages in Wintermark, and a lot of covens are night related, so we all banded together and we did a really cool ritual many moons ago, no pun intended, where we cast this big ritual over Calavesa, and everybody had like glorious feasts and stuff. So because this Regio magic was happening, we decided we wanted to capitalize on it, and we all came together on the Friday night and spoke a little bit about what our options were to do big night magic and just kind of join something fun, right? If there wasn't anything big and important to do, we just wanted to do something that was fun or different or interesting that we could all collaborate on. Simultaneously, I got my very first AP confirmed. Woo! So an AP, or Arcane Projection, is basically a homebrew or a custom ritual that you have to submit to PD before the event, and when you get to your event, if you successfully submitted it, you get to find out whether PD have accepted it or rejected it for this event. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cast it that event, it just means that you have it on a piece of paper and it's a one-time use thing. So if it gets accepted, it has a lot of terms, it has a magnitude to cast it, the realm lore that it needs to be casted in, and my AP that I wrote up before E1 was, of course, moon-related magic. The long and short of it was I wanted to figure out more about the moon and if it connected to anything and what it connected to. So I ended up writing this night ritual, and the first time I wrote it, it got rejected, and PD were kind enough to give a little bit of feedback when I got my rejection slip, because you don't know until you get to the event and it's in your character pack. So when I got a little bit of feedback from it, basically was told, you're running before you can walk here. I went back to basics and I reviewed the moon magic, rewrote it, and then submitted it, and it got accepted this time. So that was what I proposed to my coven. My coven was so jazzed, love you guys, and we ended up putting it forward to the Night Alliance in Wintermark, and everyone else was super jazzed, and that was really cool too, because it feels really great when you've essentially, like, out of character, when you create good game, it feels really good, right? Like, I really enjoy creating opportunities for people to just have fun and do something different and do something that's, like, interesting, right? So moon magic is something that is not really a massive thing. I know multiple people have done stuff with the moon before, but it compared to like something like astronomancy, I feel like that's more fleshed out. Moon stuff is still like relatively new, and we don't really know what it does, even if it does do much at all. It, you know, we're still very much in the early days of it might not just do anything. So we had this AP and everybody wanted to be a part of it, and I was like, oh bugger, I need to come up with how to roleplay this because I have not thought about it. And now 20 people want to do this ritual on Friday night. So I'm like, okay, right, not only have I got to figure out a roleplay thing, but I've got to figure out a way to include 20 people. And then part of the ritual that PD implemented was that you have to have some sort of poetic or descriptive language per person of the ritual. So I had to come up with 20 descriptive words for the moon on a whim. It's a good job I write for a living, but I also had a lot of help from people around the Night Alliance and my coven, so again, love you guys. And with the Regio all set up and with the AP ready to go, at almost midnight on Friday we did a moon ritual, and it was so cool. It was more cool to have all those people together and to role play that ritual and it be like, no, like barely anybody was around us. It was just 20 of us from Wintermark in the Regio on a Friday night. The moon was like out. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. We had such a good time. I will not divulge any information, whether or not the ritual gave us any information. If it did, what information it gave us. I feel like that's very gameplay focused. Like, I'm happy to talk about the sort of technical things, like we had a ritual and it was good fun. But what happened after that ritual, I won't say. Only because it's something that I feel like if you're interested in that sort of thing, you should find that out in character. It shouldn't be like you hear me talk about it on this video and then your character knows about it and it kind of spoils it. And like, I encourage you, if you enjoy astronomancy stuff and if you enjoy night magic, or if you're interested in like moon related stuff or even sun related stuff, there is content in Empire in the game. I would say just make yourself known to people, like go hunting for people in the different nations to talk about this kind of thing so you can organically get involved with this sort of thing, because it kind of does ruin the game a little bit if you learn about all of this out of character and then your character instantly knows all of it in the next event. Like, it's a weird balance, I know, because some people I know will hear things and go, oh, that sounds really interesting out of character and I really want to get involved in it. But the best thing you can do is just make yourself known to people in other nations, start talking to people and see what you can get involved in, because it's not just me that's doing it, there's loads of other people that are doing stuff like it. So yeah, it's really good fun though. Otherwise, I pretty much stayed in Wintermark most of the time, and you know what, I really enjoyed staying in Wintermark because I don't often do. Usually at an Empire event I am here, there and everywhere, but because it's the first event at Steeplechase, and because I just had so much fun and so many things were happening in Wintermark that event, I just really enjoyed being in Wintermark and getting involved in Wintermark game. Now, things like skein readings, which is what my character does, I adore doing skein readings, and I think this event was the first event that I felt like I was actually doing consistent skein readings for people. By the way, every skein reading that I did, I had such a wonderful time. I had so many people that I read for. I ended up painting on someone afterwards. I think my enjoyment of skein readings comes through in my roleplay, and that makes it enjoyable for other people. And I think that is a good rule to go by in roleplay in general when you're doing Empire or any LARP, is if you're genuinely having fun and it's something that you're interested in, enthusiastic about, then that will just kind of naturally come through the roleplay. So I think I've hit a real good sweet spot with, yes, I love doing this, and because I love it, other people are enjoying it because they're kind of feeding off of my energy, if that makes sense. Doesn't mean I'm very good at it, although I had a lot of lovely compliments, but it's just a very enjoyable experience. So yeah, skein readings and being around Wintermark and all the shenanigans this time round were just really, really fun. The big thing that happened at the end, in Wintermark, literally almost last thing on the Sunday, was this big drama about the crown of the 3 tiers. Oh, Moot got spicy. Moot got really, really spicy. Wintermark, when it was an independent nation, actually had a ruler akin to like a king or a queen. So it had a monarch and it had the crown of the 3 tiers. And there's a lot of interesting thing about the crown. Again, I'm kind of hesitant to talk too much about it because I'd love, if that's something you're interested in, I'd love for you to go and explore that in-game. But it's got a very interesting history. There's a lot of things that are a little bit unknown about it as well, so it makes for a really fun mystery to kind of sink your teeth into. When we join the Empire, of course, we now have the Emperor. So there's no need of a king, really, or a queen, or any sort of monarch that is just in Wintermark. But we do have basically our hero, our champion, who wears the 3 tiers crown. Now, sadly, we learned at this event that the previous person who wore that crown, their character has now retired, and the crown has no head to rest upon, and we only found that out at the end of the event. And so people were doing really good roleplay, by the way. It wasn't genuine anger. I think it came from a place of like really good roleplay opportunity, where people were in moot and they were like, how dare you keep this information from us? Where is this person? Where are they? Explain yourselves. Nobody knew about this. It is our right as Wintermarkers to have a hero, a champion. Where is the crown? Who has the crown? It was like all crazy. It was like, that was a really cool moment. It was very tense. It was very dramatic. And it does mean that next event we have a really cool opportunity where we get to crown a new hero of Wintermark, or a new champion of Wintermark. So I'm really excited for that too. The way that works is still a little bit unknown to me, because I think PD take over that kind of thing because it is a recognized title in the gameplay. So I think that's why PD take over the logistics of that planning. Still, I really hope that they leave a lot of room for the Wintermarkers to kind of get involved in, because I believe how it typically happens is that people put themselves forward to become the champion. Scops kind of tell their tales of why they deserve to be champions, and then every person who's been put forward has to have a mystic reading, like a skein reading. So a mystic kind of has to see what their future holds and see what their skein is like, whether it's broken or not, to kind of ascertain whether they be a good champion. And then that mystic can then come forward and vouch for them, and then the mystics all come together to vote and decide who the champion's going to be, because in roleplay terms, the mystics are the ones who are wise. They use the virtue of wisdom to be able to guide the way, and so if they're doing skein readings, they're able to see who's the best fit. That's the way it's done, because I do like it. I know I'm saying this because I'm a mystic, and because obviously that kind of makes me a bit biased because it's gameplay for me, but I like the way that is done, because it could have so easily just been like, hey, people come forward and we just vote. And I think that's democratic, right? But it doesn't generate gameplay. Having it go to like this very old tradition, it adds lore, but it adds a different kind of gameplay, because then it gives the opportunity for friction. It gives the opportunity for people to connect with their different backgrounds. So Scops connecting with mystics, connecting to warriors, connecting to all these different backgrounds, and everybody kind of looking towards their mystics for guidance. It feeds into the gameplay, it feeds into the roleplay and the world building, and I really like that element. So we'll see who gets crowned next event, shall we? Although I didn't get around much, I did pop out into the league on Saturday night, ended up meeting Death. Didn't intend to, didn't speak to them. We were just kind of like in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time, depending on how you feel about meeting Death in the league. That was really cool because it was nice to witness that NPC roleplay with the other league characters. It's nice to kind of get that look into the other nations and how they do their own thing. That was really cool. Also, Saturday night. Oh my god, let's talk about the Whisper Gallery. Again, I'm going to try and keep this as least gameplay immersion breaking as possible and sort of just give you the fun bits rather than go into all the details, so you guys aren't kind of getting in-character information out of character. But Saturday night, they announced that there was going to be a parlay with the Whisper Gallery. The Whisper Gallery are still under enmity currently in the Empire, and the current Archmage of Night had managed to fandangle a meeting with them, and it was in the Hall of Worlds. The amount of people that turned up, crazy. I felt like it was going to be quite exclusive, and they put beforehand on the wins that you would need to wear a mask, and if you didn't have a mask you wouldn't be able to enter. So there's me, donning my little mask, having a good time, going into this tent. By the way, the events team with the tent set up, so cool. UV lights, smoke machines, crazy. The only thing was that even though I was quite close to the front, I could not hear anything that was going on, pretty much. Some of the members of the Whisper Gallery made their way through the crowd, and we were under strict instructions: do not speak at all. Do not speak, because it could jeopardize everything. The Whisper Gallery are a very interesting group of people, and if you don't know much about them, and there's loads of stuff on the wiki about them. They're very scandalous, let's say, and I'm not entirely sure what happened between the parlay between the Archmage of Night and the Whisper Gallery. I've heard whispers, but yes, we shall see what happens from that. But the scandal of the evening was there was a group of people at the front, and they were holding up signs. They were trying to cause a little bit of chaos during the parlay, and we were very lucky that nothing super bad happened. I will leave the rest to in-character shenanigans, because I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't really want to accidentally bring in-character stuff out of character. But just know that it was really funny, and I genuinely live for the chaotic opportunities that can be made at Empire. So yeah, that was really fun. Lastly, I made star signs. I've spoken a lot this episode about opportunities, and one of the things that I wanted to do was create more sort of star-related opportunities that are very low impact, very beginner friendly. And one of those things was, why don't I just make star signs? Like, we have all these amazing constellations, so why not make some fun and just allocate different star signs to people based off of different things? So I spent ages coming up with a formula for figuring out people's, like, what sign were they born under, and essentially I created a star sign and a rising sign equivalent. So it's stuff like where your character was born, what territory they were born in, what season they were born in, and that dictates one constellation, like one sign that you were born under, and then what virtue you're aligned to, or what realm of magic you're most aligned to, and that figures out like your rising sign. So you've got these cool 2 different constellations, and I'm hoping that over time, that if that's interesting to people, then it generates more just fun and gameplay, and I'm hoping to make sort of like fortunes based off of what star sign you are, so that if people have figured out or come to me already to get their constellation, their constellation signs, their birth constellations, whatever you want to call it, then each event they'll get a new premonition, a new point of guidance from their astronomancy connection in Wintermark, the weird mysticky moon witch. The moon mummy of Wintermark has information for you all. So that was really good fun. It was very low stakes, and I love the idea of people going across Empire and Anvil going, that's such a drowned man thing to say. Oh my gosh, you're such a chalice. Finally, let's talk about the game knots. Honestly, not much. The first thing, which is so minor, I did end up in Dawn for very quick half an hour to an hour on Saturday evening. Apparently there was the hunkening, right? I walked into Glory Square, I couldn't see anything. The hunks must have been so potent, it must have brought half of Anvil, because I could not see anything from the crowd. All I could hear was, kiss him! Kiss him! So I'm sure that went well, whatever was happening in Glory Square. I was sad I didn't see any hunks though, so next time I'll just have to bring a really tall friend and get them to put me on their shoulders or something. And the last thing is, is a not because it's sad, but it's also a hot because it's a very good opportunity. Remember my friend Erin, who plays Kolnir? Kolnir is no longer in Wintermark. She betrayed us and moved to Verushka. Obviously, in character, Celine has very mixed feelings about this because she's losing her close friend, and she had this big vision for Kolnir to kind of be in Dragon's Watch, which is their hall, and, you know, have these wonderful night magic shenanigans. But Kolnir found a path that was very interesting. It was more them than Wintermark was, and so she's gone for a sabbatical for the time being over in Verushka. She's joined a new night coven, and we also invited that night coven over for snacks on Saturday afternoon, like dinner time ish, to basically I thought it was a nice idea to bring us all together because it was like meeting the parents almost. It's great fun. Also, the coven that she's joining, fantastic role players, genuinely fantastic. I won't mention who they are just in case Erin does not want me to disclose that information, but they were wonderful. So if you were a Verushka Night Coven that came to Wintermark on Saturday for snacks, I really enjoyed the little roleplay that I was able to do. Unfortunately, I got pulled away to another thing that was happening. I really wish that I could have spent more time with you guys, and I really hope there's more opportunity for my hall and for like us in Wintermark to roleplay and have shenanigans with you guys, because yeah, you're a really, really cool bunch, and I am so happy for Kolnir, Erin, to be going out and creating all these cool opportunities, and we will miss her, although she's still camping with us, so it's fine. Not like she's one of my best friends or anything, like as if I don't see her or speak to her every day. But yeah, it's sad. We're not going to see her around in character a lot. I mean, she was always off and about doing crazy things anyway. But yeah, I am genuinely excited. It's just a sad moment when people kind of shift around or move on or characters retire and stuff like that. So Kolnir is still Kolnir. It's just, yeah, like I said, she's taken a sabbatical over in one of the Verushkan territories that I can't remember the name of. Anyway, that is it for today's Hots and Knots Empire E1 2026. If you enjoyed this video, then maybe you can give it a cheeky little like, and if you enjoy Empire or LARP related content and video game related content and all the other weird nerdy things that I post on this channel, then consider having a little subscribe to the channel as well. It'd be nice to have you here. And if you've never been to Empire before, you can use my recruitment code, which will be down in the description below, where you can save, I think it's £15 off your first ticket to Empire. And of course, if you're renting a tent or want to look at renting a tent for the first time, I recommend Rent Bell tents. And if you want to, you can just tell them that I sent you. You don't have to, but if you could, that would be lovely. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening or wherever you are. And if I don't see you in the next video, I will see you at Anvil. We'll see you later.